Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face! Ah!
And the ball drops. It is a new year here at the film. Actually,
no, it's not. You're like two episodes. You're literally like two episodes off
that is
our
coming
third
up
year.
Soon, though, isn't it?
Yeah, this is episode 103.
That was just a bad bit, but it turns out to have a little bit of truth to it.
You're a little early. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Majors. I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis.
That's Alexis.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy, Alexis, how you doing?
What's going on?
Wow.
Nothing.
I don't know.
No preamble?
We have a lot to talk about
No
today, so I
preamble
thought
to
we
our
Didn't
famous
move us up
segment.
for
I thought we'd go right
anything.
into it.
Just straight in.
Oh boy,
Wow.
Alexis loves that joke.
Alexis, how are you?
You love a good
doing?
lubing joke because I
do
re-edit
love a
the
good
episodes
lubing
and
joke.
you use that all the time. Oh, you didn't even lube me up. You just went in.
Lube is very important. You should really just not minimize the importance of lube in your life, whether that be metaphorical or literal,
Today's episode is brought to you by Jiffy Lube. Lube's important.
Not the first time we've pretended to have a Jiffy Lube ad.
It isn't.
not.
No.
That's true. This is.
Are
this
we
is the
done?
third time.
Are we done with? Do we have nothing new to say?
No, we haven't. We are saying new things. It's
I
called
saw
banter.
2
I guess.
movies this week. That's it. That's all I.
Wow.
I
What'd you
did.
see?
What'd you see?
I saw Strange Darling. I
Yes?
didn't like it as much as you guys did. I also feel like maybe I shouldn't have eaten a gummy before I went to the movie. That seems like that was a bad idea.
Was it a weed
Yeah,
gummy or
that
just like a
seems-
standard gummy?
It was like a weed gummy, and I was like sitting there halfway through the movie thinking, maybe I'm overstimulated right now. Maybe that's what's happening. But it wasn't like the positive, like Mick, do you remember when we went to go see Elvis? I think it was the second or third time we had each seen it, right?
How can I forget?
Right? And
Top 10 memories of my life.
We're not even 2 minutes in, and he's already come up.
okay, but that's because I can't remember which time it was that we saw this, but I remember I took a gummy before we got to the theater, and then I ate a gummy while we were at the theater, and then Mick had given me another gummy, but just for safekeeping, but I thought I would lose it halfway through the movie, so then I just ate it instead. So I was 3 gummies deep.
She was like, I'll keep hold of this in my stomach.
I would die. I would get so scared, no matter what.
I'm not
the movie
gonna
was.
lie.
You've never seen Elvis really high?
Halfway through Elvis, I really
man.
thought I don't know if I'm okay. There's so much happening. I feel like almost a little scared because it is very overstimulating. So can you imagine being really high, how intense that would be? I was having trouble breathing low key.
I remember that. I do, because I remember you saying I don't know if I like that this time. I was like, it was the drugs. The movie's great.
Circling back to Strange Darling, I can see how if you're really high, that would be unpleasant because, again, it is a film that I would say has been controversial and justifiably so. So, I think that watching that really high, probably not super fun.
Also, getting drugs is a big thing in that movie.
Yeah, I think it's also there's moments in the movie that I feel like when you don't know that something is, because I don't really want to spoil it, because it's so easy to spoil the movie, to be honest, to spoil what makes the movie fun. There's a couple times where it's you're not sure if what's going on in the hotel room is real or if it's part of the bit of what is going on between the two of them. And a couple times when that happened, I was just like, nah, I don't like that. And then another time when she had the knife and she was, making some stuff happen, I was like, don't like that. Don't like that at all.
This is a good not spoiler review when she has the knife and is making stuff happen. I mean, yeah, you didn't spoil it. I'm actually impressed.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say what happened without saying what happened.
Exactly. The thing happened. I was not a fan. I think I just as somebody who was was like a self-harmer in high school, I think seeing people actually do certain things, I'm like, I am uncomfortable. I don't know why those things just make me feel weird seeing them on the screen, seeing them like that on the screen. It is always there's certain torture bits that I don't want to say this, but I'm cool with. And then there's certain torture bits.
This is a safe space to say that
I wouldn't.
Zooming in from Guantanamo.
I wouldn't say that they're necessarily the worst, but they just hit my brain in a certain way where it's I think because they remind me of certain things that I'm just oh, I don't like how I feel now. And I think that's kind of what happened throughout the movie was oh, I don't know if I like how I feel, to be honest. And me and my sister both left the movie just kind of looking at each other what did you think? She was like, I don't know. What did you think? And I was like, I don't know. I think we were really.
Was she high as well?
No, she was not high at all. I think both of us were very overstimulated by the movie. It looked great though. I loved the colors that they used in with the lighting. I loved Willa Fitzgerald, crazy fucking good
Super
performance.
Good. Yeah.
She's on fire.
Is it Kyle Gallner or something?
Yeah.
He was good.
Gallagher?
Kyle Gallner.
Yeah,
Gallner.
He was good too. Yeah, I really enjoyed. Piggybacking off what you guys have said previously, it's a movie that when you think it's going right, it's going left, and then when you think it's going left, it's going right. So if you're really interested in a movie that you're not going to be able to really guess what's going on for the most part, it's just going to defy your expectations of what's going on as long as you haven't really heard too much about it. So I think it's worth a watch for sure. I'm just not sure that at the end of the day that I actually liked the movie overall, that I would watch the movie more than twice. I feel I want to watch the movie again to really figure out how I feel about it, but I don't know if I want to watch it anytime soon.
I think that I definitely want to watch it again, one, because I just had a fucking ball the first time I watched it, but also I have definitely seen critiques of the movie of is this a misogynist film? And I'm I can see that aspect of it, especially if you apply what it's doing in terms of subversion less to the horror genre,
right,
and more as a commentary on real life. I think it becomes more potentially icky.
Mm-hmm. Which is why you love it.
Yeah, it's why I'm crazy about it. I love how problematic and how it's really speaking truth to women. That's what I love about it.
LOL.
No.
Cut the show. Isolate that audio.
Yeah. Isolate only that. No, I think that's a valid criticism of the movie. And there are the moments. There's a few moments that stuck out to me as uncomfortable in that way, where I was I don't think this is just subverting genre. It feels kind of icky, and I don't like the reaction this is getting in the audience. But overall, I only have my reaction to go on, and I really fucking love that movie. I think it's so much fun.
I will say my favorite part of the movie was definitely, and I remember thinking to myself, based on what you guys had said during one of the last episodes, was that there was a scene, or that you guys are from Oregon, and that there were some people in there that really reminded you of like Oregon people, right? People that you know, and then
the hill people.
I figured, and when I saw it, I was just like, I don't know. I think that because there was that layer of like, oh, like the boys know people like this, it became more funny to me, and then also just how tense the movie kind of had been, like how it keeps you off kilter, and then to have this like very detailed and almost like graphic cooking and eating scene.
The scariest thing in the movie.
It is so
more butter.
So fucking funny. Like when that was happening, like I feel like I was like kind of almost uncomfortable because at that point I was getting quite high, you know? But I remember just like seeing that on screen and then just going, like a loud, like little shrill giggle in the theater. Like, only person to do that too. Like there was definitely a couple people chuckled, but I think it was like
The Breakfast got a huge reaction in my theater.
I love a loud, shrill giggle.
It was almost like that moment just like perfectly broke the tension of everything that had come before it in this like incredibly comical way. And that I think was very successful, very well done. I've never seen somebody do something that grotesque with pancakes before in my life. That was crazy. That couple, you know, I really want to know who you know that is like that, because that is just so funny. They're funny. No, yeah, actually, I probably don't.
I'll tell you one thing, Alexis. It is not only two people.
Yeah. We're just old hippies.
There's a Rolodex of people I know like that.
That was so funny
Oregon.
too. They were like, "We're not mountain people. We're just old hippies."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, she's a hippie. I'm a biker. I'm an old biker.
Yeah, he has to clarify.
Yeah. And it's not about if it happens, it's when.
Alexis, what else did you see?
I watched How to Train Your Dragon for the first time. Oh my God. I loved that movie. That was so fun.
A charming film.
It was.
A charming fucking film.
Sequel's better.
It has a great score by a composer that I don't really even know very well. Is it I was about to say Glenn Powell. I think it's John Powell. Or
is it Harry Gregson Williams?
No.
Damn it.
Yeah. So
what'd you think of the movie?
I mean, I loved it. I think like the voice acting was very fun for me because it's like, it's so of its time that it's almost like, it's like a voice acting time capsule in a way, because you have fucking, I kept trying to piece together where I knew the voice from, and then I was like, oh shit, it's Jay Baruchel. Baruchel.
Canada's own Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, I personally really love him in movies. One of my favorite movies to just like watch over and over again growing up was She's Out of My League. And
She's Out of Your League. Yeah, you showed me that movie. That's a fun comedy.
It is.
I like that film.
It's silly and it's fun, and it actually, I think, is one of the better romantic comedies in the way that, like, it really doesn't make the hot girl be this thing that's just going to solve all of his problems, you know? And it, like, actually, even though she's, like, kind of put on this pedestal, they really humanize her kind of throughout it. I don't know. I really enjoy that movie. But TJ Miller plays one of his like piece of shit friends in that movie. And he also does a voice in How to Train Your Dragon. And I was like, oh, it's like the boys are all home, you know?
Yeah, Christopher Mintz-Plasse is in it. Jonah Hill.
Yeah. It's like Jonah Hill's like one of those voices that's like you can just like pull it out of anywhere, you know. But I was like, where do I know these voices from? They're so familiar. But yeah, so I had a really good time. Toothless is literally so cute. I love him. Anyways, what'd you guys watch?
Alexis, watch the sequel.
I'm gonna watch the sequel.
It's
I
cool.
will.
He glows up he's hot.
Yeah, the sequel is good, and he is a hunk in it.
He's
actually.
weirdly hot.
Yeah,
It was. I remember when I watched How to Train Your Dragon
Rizzler.
too. Yeah, he has that mad Viking riz.
I also.
It's weird.
Oh yeah! Oh, fucking Gerard Butler's the dad in that movie, and I was like,
yeah, he is.
I know this voice. It's an attractive man. I know that much.
Yes. King Leonidas himself.
You know, I haven't finished the last like 15 minutes of this movie, but I also watched a 2013 movie with robots and aliens. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
listeners, help us out. What movie could she be describing?
Is it Pacific Rim?
Nice.
All right. So, I think that Mick, the best way for us to do this, since you and I both watched a lot of movies, because here's a little thing that's going on in Los Angeles at time of recording. It's fucking so hot.
Yeah, stay hydrated,
so
Angelinos.
Goddamn hot.
It's not
It has been over 110 degrees in the valley for days.
When I drove to the theater to watch
I know
a
you're
movie,
in Fresno.
Wow.
Okay, you get this kind of heat all the time.
Alexis, we didn't consent to live in the armpit of California. We didn't sign up for this, so this is not fair. We're going through.
Did I sign a sheet of paper when I popped out my mom's fucking vagina? When the fuck did I consent to live in the goddamn armpit of California?
You moved back. You literally moved back. You're back in there.
Because I'm in crippling credit card debt. I can't live in LA unless you want me to live on your couch.
Well, we're in crippling heat. We're in crippling heat, which is
get on this couch right now, Alexis.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think that we should cover the two movies that we both saw that are new releases.
Let's start with the best one.
Yeah.
Which is, speaking of which, 118 degrees it registered on my car's thermometer when driving to the theater for this. But we watched Dee Dee.
Yeah, Mick and I saw a movie together.
How
We
fun.
saw Sean Wang's Dee Dee.
Big Wang.
Yeah, I described as the uncut gems of 8th grade.
Yes. Here's the thing. I really like this movie. And as Zach, when we were walking out of the cinema, I was trying to like self-diagnose why this movie worked for me. Because if you listen to the show, you'll know that I struggle with movies about teenagers.
And Dee Dee is about a 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy.
Right. I love a good character study where a guy continues to just make terrible choices and just ruins their life despite all their best efforts, and yet you still root for the guy. This is that movie, but he's a 13-year-old middle schooler.
And it's such an easy setup for that kind of movie, right? Because you understand why he's making terrible choices.
Yeah, because his brain...
he's fucking 13 years old.
It's not all there.
He's exploding with hormones, and he's so scared about everything.
Yeah, real.
Yeah,
same.
I was hugely fucking charmed by this movie.
It's funny. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments.
It's very touching. Isaac Wang is fucking awesome as Chris / nickname Wang Wang or Big Wang. His I believe Hotmail account is like a Big Wang 01 or something.
Yeah, and then there's a bit where his like dipshit friend sends him a link to something. Like, what is it? It's like a
God, yeah, what
click
was that?
this. It's like an invite to something, and it's like wetdicks.com or something. It's not that exactly, but it's something like that.
This movie,
really funny.
it really does have me feeling old.
Yeah.
because we're now at the point where filmmakers are people our age who are reflecting on their childhoods. And it's like, that's my childhood. I was, he's 13 in 2010. I was, or 2008. I was 10. He's 3 years older than me.
This movie ends with him going to high school. So he's, after going through all of this horrible turmoil, congratulations, kid. You're a freshman in high school now. Best of luck. And I realized that the class that he's in graduates 2012. And I that's when I felt old. I was like, holy shit. So this guy was 1 year ahead of me in school.
You graduated 2013.
I graduated 2013.
Which is when I started high school.
So you were a freshman in 2013?
Yes, yeah. So you would have been just done with high school when I started.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and look at us. You ended up in college at the same time as me.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
I took a little sabbatical. I won't lie. I floated around. I went on walkabout, as the Aussies say.
You did not go on walkabout.
I moved to Coburg, Oregon.
You did not go on walkabout.
I'm shutting that
I
down
went to
right
Otis.
now.
I went to Coburg. I worked
Did you go to Drain? Did you go to Wolf Creek?
These are all real places.
Let's name more obscure Oregon towns.
These are all real places.
Did you go to Boring?
No. But I did stay at the Cape of Disappointment, and let me say
that makes sense.
It was a lot of fun.
That's where I was born. What else do you have about Dee Dee?
While it is very funny, it is also very sobering. I don't want to oversell this as an uproarious comedy. It is.
Has a lot of laughs.
But it also has some very, very real to very honest film, very sobering bits. It also has, honestly, this movie, shout out to all of the single moms out there, because this movie has a single mom.
Joan Chen is incredible in this movie.
I felt so bad for her character. Holy shit. She's just trying to make shit work. And the problem is that she's doing this alone with her mother-in-law, who is of a different generation and just is constantly just criticizing everyone, especially her. Yeah. But her kids are fucking going through that stage in life where they just hate you, everything you do. You remember that? You remember when you were that age where you just hated everything your parents did because it wasn't cool, Like, Dad, stop fucking coming to the fucking school to pick me up on a skateboard. It's not cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was actually pretty. He was cooler than I was. I didn't know how to skateboard. My dad, he was fucking shredded.
Yeah, Mark can do a kickflip.
Dude, he totally can.
That's so sick.
Yeah, he's single, ladies.
You brought up mother-in-law.
Yes. We also watched another new movie separately. We watched, what is it called? The Front Room.
Yes, directed by Max and Sam Eggers, the brothers of...
Half-brothers.
Mr. Robert Eggers, who directed my favorite film of the 2010s, The Lighthouse.
Yep. Yep.
And who directed the upcoming Nosferatu.
I did not know that Max and Sam were identical twins.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Let's start off. Zach, what did you think of The Front Room?
I thought it sucked. I thought it was a bad movie. Wow. I did not care for The Front Room. I thought it was stupid as fuck, quite frankly. I'm being a little harsh.
But how did you really feel? Don't hold back.
I feel like I need to rein it in a little bit.
It's the heat. Zach's in heat.
I have been in a bad mood for the past few days, and it has been the heat.
Well, my girlfriend is currently working on a movie, and everyone is at each other's throats.
I feel so bad for Sam.
I know, I do too. I'm so. She's like, it's just not going well. I'm not surprised.
I was just fucking cranky at work this week, and I was like, it's the heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, the front room. The front room is about a woman whose elderly mother-in-law moves in with her and her husband while she is pregnant. Mm-hmm. And her mother-in-law starts kind of terrorizing her. There's a racial component to it. The leading lady is Brandy Norwood, who was in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. as well as, I believe, a few other horror films. But her mother-in-law is played by Catherine Hunter, who
Fantastic.
you might recognize from last year's Poor Things, or Joel Cohen's The Tragedy of Macbeth, where she plays all of the witches.
That's where I remember her the most.
She's
so
fucking
good in that
spectacular in that movie.
Yeah.
You guys do know that Brandy Norwood is also just commonly known as Brandy because she was like a pretty famous like singer in the 90s.
Singer.
I saw that she was credited just as Brandy.
I did know that because I did not know her last name was Norwood, actually. I looked her up. I was like, oh, her name is just Brandy. Okay,
I know you said Brandy Norwood, and I was like, who's Brandy Norwood?
Yeah, it's Brandy.
People say Brandy.
She was the princess in the live action Cinderella with the Filipino prince and Whoopi Goldberg, I think. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Brandy's great in this movie. I really liked her in this film.
I think she's good with the material that she is working with, which I think is bad.
She plays off of Catherine Hunter, who is this parasitic evangelical like Confederate. Because she's literally, her birth certificate is of the Confederacy.
Well, that's not a birth certificate. It's a membership certificate for the Sisters of the Confederacy.
Worse. That's a worse thing.
Yes.
Because that's a choice.
Yes.
That's not good.
I guess that kind of links into my central issue, one of my central issues with this movie, which is that it feels like it wants to be about a bunch of different things. Like, it sets a lot of stuff on the table of like, oh, this is going to be a film that deals heavily with, like, racial conflict and racism. This is going to be a film that maybe has a supernatural bent to it, that, like, really delves into this evangelical avenue. And ultimately, it just kind of fizzles out.
It's an amuse-bouche of many different elements.
Yet none of them are really...
It's a master of none.
It pursues none of them.
Right.
It doesn't flesh any of them out. The movie, as Dennis...
It spins its wheels.
As Dennis Reynolds once said, it just sort of...
Ends. Right. But here's the thing, though, is that to give credit to the movie, because I like this movie quite a bit more than you did. In fact, I quite liked it. I see people's criticisms, and yours are pretty much right there with everybody. I don't necessarily disagree. It's just that the ending, and this is something that we've talked about before. Guillermo del Toro, the director, has said that the best way to end a horror movie is to have your audience just feel absolute dread. And they're dead inside. There was no victory here. This movie was always going to go to this conclusion of just complete tragedy. The second best way to end a horror movie, I think, is when you were just so fucking excited with a character's triumphant victory. And I have to say, Brandy, go off.
Yeah.
I loved her end.
Like, I wanted to root for it, but I feel like the movie is not telling me to root for it. Like, the final shot we leave on is like, oh, is she kind of a sinister figure? Like,
right.
It feels so confused.
Interesting, because I thought
it feels long.
I thought my big problem. Character's death felt convenient. But then when it reveals what actually happened with the character's death, I went, oh, okay, like it's giving me what I wanted. This movie, yes, it does flirt with the supernatural because you have these just absolute psycho evangelicals who are fucking speaking in tongues and bullshit. But overall, it's a movie that I feel you could buy as all actually happening. Like it's mostly grounded, and I think that's why I was okay with nothing super wild happens. There's some pretty fucked up imagery, but that happens in dream sequences.
But those dream sequences are like referenced by Catherine Hunter of like, you're having visions, aren't you? Like,
yeah, some people are just clairvoyant and shit. They are.
My issue with this movie, I think the other problem that I have is like, if it's going to be like, a movie that deals really heavily in metaphor and doesn't show you all its cards, and it's like, oh, did this happen? Did this not happen? Was there something supernatural? Was there not something supernatural? Like, it has to have more going on under the surface, because this feels like such a surface movie. Like,
yes,
it doesn't.
No, I agree.
It's not exploring any of its themes deeply.
But what's on the surface is fun.
But then, if you're not going to do that, pay it off. Like take it somewhere, and it doesn't take it anywhere.
I think that the dynamics of Catherine and Brandy, the actors, it's not their characters' names, bouncing off of each other and just absolutely growing this hatred for one another. Just watching those characters change and how they interacted, I think that is why The Surface works for me. I just really enjoyed watching this horrific, old, spindly character. She's like, Catherine Hunter as the stepmother is one of my new favorite horror villains of the year. Like, I think she's just so scary, but just seeing them have this battle of wits and having these war games of the mind, I think was fun. I liked watching that unfold, and then the prickless pickle of a husband I didn't care for as much. He was kind of a wet blanket.
I want to watch the movie that Catherine Hunter is in. She is having so much fun, and she deserves a better movie to be around her.
All right. I think check it out. If you're a horror fan, I think you should check it out.
I'm going to give it a stay away. You don't need to see it.
You know what I'm going to give a stay away? I watched The Crow.
Oh, no.
I watched another movie. Now, this was a movie...
Alexis's boy.
Yes, this is a movie that was...
That is my boy.
Has been brought up on this show before because, Alexis, how did you say you saw the trailer for it and you didn't know it was Bill Skarsgård, right? Or what's your relationship to The Crow?
My relationship to The Crow was, you're correct. I saw I knew that they were remaking the movie, but until I saw the preview, I don't think I remembered that they were remaking it with Bill Skarsgård as the Crow person. I've never seen the original.
It's Mr. Crow.
So, and he looked
sadly.
hot. You know, it looked like kind of a vibe, but I've heard bad things. So,
the bad things are true. Here's the thing: people are saying that Bill Skarsgård looks like a fucking SoundCloud rapper in this movie.
Devastating.
And, I mean, I guess I think he looked maybe. Maybe I'm still a 12-year-old at heart, but I thought he looked really cool. He looked really cool, man.
Troubling.
He had he's got some cool makeup going on. He's got the big leather jacket, and I'll take a guess. Is his collar popped or not?
I'm going to go with popped.
It's so popped. Sick. It's a popped collar, dude. It's working. He does what he can with what little he's given. FK Twigs, who plays the love interest, is a bad actor. I'm sorry. I hear she's a good musician. I don't think I've heard her stuff, but as an actor, I didn't buy anything coming from her whole thing. But this movie has allowed me to bring up a phenomenon that happens within Western cinema that we have not talked about before, but it's the Danny Houston effect. So there is a character actor that, listeners, if you're driving a motorized vehicle right now, don't do this. But if you're listening to our show right now, or you're doing chores or you're doing homework, whatever, just pause, look up Danny Houston.
Alexis is doing it right now.
She's doing it right now. You're going to recognize his face. You're going to go, oh, that guy. Right. He is in good stuff.
He's in The Aviator.
He's in a movie we covered, Game Night. And he's a good actor.
He's an X-Men Origins Wolverine.
And Alexis brings up my point, which is that the Danny Houston effect is when you see an actor in something, you immediately feel apprehensive because they have a real knack for choosing shit projects.
Their agent is not serving them well.
Exactly, because Danny Houston, it's at the point now, because he's always in a trailer. It's like if you got Danny Houston in your movie, it's like a contract obligation. He's got to be in the trailer. People need to know this is a Houston film. And he's just like, he was in one of my not favorite movies of the year, Horizon American Saga Part 1. And he plays the exact same character as he does in the Viggo Mortensen Western.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, he's in...
Same character.
The Dead Don't Hurt.
I think he walked off of Horizon set, got in a golf cart, and was driven by a PA to the Dead Don't Hurt set. Same costume, same character, same voice.
Talk about a movie like I almost forgot I saw.
Yeah, it is sad. But I still liked Viggo Mortensen in it.
Good score.
It was good. It was a good score. Anyways, Danny Houston... do better projects because you're really good. I was introduced to him in the John Adams miniseries where he plays Samuel Adams.
All right.
What? You don't like that miniseries? The guy who directed it did Cats. You'd like it. Judi Dench is great in it.
Oh, my God.
The Crow, you can skip it. But it does do one thing really well is it takes a note from the Christopher McQuarrie handbook of how to do a good action movie. Because there's this one big fight that happens at an opera. And they get rid of all of the non-diegetic music. And there's this very intense fight scene that plays out with Mr. Crow, with all of these other goons.
Stop calling him Mr. Crow.
It's Mr. Crow. Someone goes, "Who are you? The Crow?" And he goes, "They call me Mr. Crow. Call!" And then he claws their eyes out.
Good.
Yeah, it plays to diegetic opera music, and it's pretty good. It worked for me. It was fun.
Nice.
Bad movie. Very 2000s action movie energy.
Speaking of the 2000s.
Okay. Is this a segue?
Yes.
Are we zooming and grooving?
We're grooving because we've seen so many things, and I know Alexis wants to hear about this.
Uh-oh.
I saw with my lovely girlfriend, Justin future guest, Sloan. I saw both Halloween Town High and Return to Halloween Town, which are two Disney Channel original movies. I had seen
the witches cackling over here.
I had seen the previous two Halloween Town movies, entitled Halloween Town and Halloween Town 2: Calabar's Revenge.
I love Calabar's Revenge.
A few years ago. That movie sucks. That movie sucks shit. So, here's my relationship to the Halloween Town movies is that I had none because I was not a Disney Channel kid. I did not watch TV really as a child. It's how I became such a movie freak. And when you show an adult man... That was the only thing I watched. I didn't watch TV, so I became obsessed with movies. I do think that's kind of how it happened. But you can't show a grown man the Halloween Town movies and expect him to enjoy them with no benefit of nostalgia because they are poorly made and poorly acted and stupidly written, and they suck.
The original Halloween Town is not stupid. Okay, the very first
stupid.
one
it
is not.
Sucks.
That is like it's gotta be. It's an average movie for children.
It's not an average movie. That is not an average movie, and it's not an average movie for children. It's a bad movie for children, and it's a worse movie for adults.
Well,
but you know what's worse than the first two Halloween Town movies? You did not grow up watching
Disney Channel movies, okay? Because
this
it's
is what I'm saying.
Pretty
this
average.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen, if that's average for Disney Channel, that's dark.
Do you think that Disney Channel movies skewed my perception of what is acceptable in a movie because I saw so many mid movies growing up?
Might be.
Yeah, totally. It desensitized you to crap.
All I have to say is that, quite frankly, Halloween Town High is the worst of the franchise. It's barely about Halloween. It takes place at a regular high school.
Isn't that the one with the trolls?
Maybe.
Oh,
yeah,
the girl at the end, she's a troll, right? And she's all pink and stuff. She was cute.
Yeah, and she won't kiss Marnie's fucking no pussy getting brother. I hate Marnie's brother. Okay, here's my thing. I fucking hate
whiny.
Marnie's brother. That guy sucks.
What's his name?
He fucking I don't remember. He's Marty's brother. And he's bad. He's, if he got rid of that yee ass haircut, maybe he'd get some more bitches on his dick. Because quite frankly, the whole gag with Marty's brother is that he simply refuses to get pussy, and girls hate him. And you know what? That makes sense.
Maybe Marty's brother is asexual.
And that is what. No, he's not. Because that's
he
why
just
Return
doesn't
to
enjoy
Halloween Town.
fun. That's what it is.
That's exactly, and it's quite frankly why Return to Halloween Town is my favorite of the franchise. Because one, we switch Marty out with a better actress, and two, we subject Marty's brother to just a whole bunch of just humiliation, cruelty, and degradation. And I enjoyed seeing that.
Wait, so Marty, the character stays the same; they just recast her.
Yeah, they recast her as Sarah Paxton.
Okay, interesting.
Sarah Paxton, who is now married to Zach Kreger, director of Barbarian.
Oh, cool.
Okay, yes. Also,
it all comes back to Elvis.
Shut the fuck.
You know what? Did you know, and I know that you won't care, but Kimberly J. Brown, who played Marnie for the first, 3 movies, she ended up dating and marrying Calabar's son from the second movie. I
did know that.
Isn't
Sloan
it cute?
told me.
They're really cute. I love their TikTok page for years.
She was right. You didn't care.
Yeah. I called that for sure.
You called that, Alexis.
You were 100% correct in that I don't care, and I'm angry that I've seen all the Halloween Town movies because they blow. I also saw 2 films directed by Dario Argento, Deep Red and Suspiria, which were both incredible.
I gotta see them.
They're incredible and they're awesome.
I gotta do it.
Let me tell you, they made my return to Halloween Town hurt a whole lot more. Mick, what else did you see?
I finally, in preparation for Smile 2 coming out later this year, I watched Smile 1.
Oh, co-starring Kyle Gallner of Strange Darling.
Yes, and I liked it. It's a dumb movie, and it's too long, but it genuinely creeped me out. So I am deep in Smile lore right now. So don't come at me with the whole stuff. I'm going to see Smile 2.
All right.
And then
I'll see you.
Jackson will be very happy for you. He fucking loves Smile.
Dude, I fucking love Jackson.
Bring Jackson on the pod.
Jackson is my favorite film major.
He has so many good insights.
He's got the juice. The juice box. It's Apple.
He really does have the juice.
And then
He's great.
I also watched, really quick, I saw a James Whale film. And if you don't know James Whale, go on to YouTube, James Whale Bake Sale. Great YouTube channel.
James Whale directed...
that's what I meant to say, yeah. No,
there we go.
Sorry.
He directed Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and The Invisible Man.
Yeah, I saw The Old Dark House. Now, I'll give you one guess as to what the movie is about.
Ooh.
What?
An Old Dark House.
You fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
You get a cookie.
Oh, cool.
It's really of its time, but it was also genuinely creepy. It came out in 1932, and Boris Karloff plays a fantastic Universal movie monster, which I had not heard of before. Bit of a deep take, but have you ever heard of Morgan? Dude, you have no idea.
It's so scary
Morgan?
that he's a guy named Morgan.
He's Morgan. He's a dastardly drunk butler.
All right.
Yeah. So it's fun. I like to, it's spooky season. We're deeply entrenched in spooky season, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to visit some really old ones that maybe aren't as scary, but this one had the creeps. So
Hell yeah.
I had fun. Check it out.
Love it.
All right. Do we have anything else? All right. Let's hop out on what's going on. Okay, and we are back, and we are here with our next big topic of Sci-Fi September. It's like the sound has already played. And Alexis,
Yes.
what's our big topic for this episode?
Smells like farts in here.
You guys are
Might have been
disgusting.
me. Sorry.
I've been surrounded by farts all day. Okay.
Wait,
So
what?
the
You don't have to.
big topic is Oh, movies. Basically, your favorite like homage to art in film. Like anytime that a filmmaker took what is usually like a really famous like painting, and used it to create an image or a scene for a movie. Go, yeah, Zach. You've raised your hand. Yes, Zach. Thank you so much so much for raising your hand. Please tell me what you have to say.
Hypnosis by Sasha Snyder, as seen in The Lighthouse.
Oh, good one. That's when his eyes are beaming light, right?
Yes, when Willem Dafoe. It's in a dream sequence that the better Eggers executes very well.
Yeah.
Where Robert Pattinson turns around and Willem Dafoe's like grabbing him and he's beaming light out of his eyeballs. That's a recreation of a painting called Hypnosis by Sasha Snyder.
That's a great painting. I like it. It's got this like really dark German expressionist chiaroscuro style of painting.
You tried to do a lot of different things to paper over that noise you made as you said that earlier, and it didn't work.
Now, Alexis, what is chiaroscuro style painting?
I think that just like has to do with like light and shadow, right? So a lot of work with shadow. It's been a long time since I took an art history class. Yeah.
No, that's pretty much it.
Like
it's
same,
super,
but you're right.
Super high contrast. Yes, like before, you would pretty much see a lot of what's in the scene being depicted by the painter in more traditional paintings, and then chiaroscuro came around. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and everything is in dark except for like the key character or object in the painting. And while it may not be a direct homage to an actual painting, one of my favorite examples of chiaroscuro lighting in the way that is paying homage to those types of things is The Godfather, which was shot by the Prince of Darkness, Gordon Willis, who was all about high contrast. If I can light a scene with just one fucking light, I'm going to try to get away with it.
Cool. What painting is he homaging?
I'm saying that it's homage to the type of art.
Tenuous.
But it's valuable.
Tenuous.
But valuable.
Yeah. All right.
I think it's more like chiaroscuro. I think chiara is the correct pronunciation of the first part of that. But for me, a manjo banjo, I love
Gabagool.
A gabagool. Francisco Goya's painting, I think it's Saturn eats his children or something like that.
You're taking my next one. Saturn devouring his son.
Yes, Saturn devouring his son. And they really play on that in Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth with the man with the...
You're stealing it from me. Damn it.
Hey. Pan's Labyrinth was my theme first, okay? I'm older than you. I watched it before you. I've been a fan before you.
That is true.
She popped out first. That's true.
I popped out first. That's right. I also wasn't in high school anymore by the time you started high school, so...
That's
wild. You were the same year as Wang Wang from DD.
I was. When you guys were talking about that, I was like, you know what? I don't need to chime in at all, actually. One thing that I really do think is fun is the use of the Last Supper in The Watchmen. Is the Zack Snyder's version of The Watchmen?
Yeah, that's during the best part of Watchmen, which is during the opening credits.
The opening like
seen
montage.
Inherent Vice.
Yeah, the like happy retirement Sally thing where she's pregnant.
Yeah.
They portray the Last Supper in Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice as well, except it's just a hippie full of table full of hippies.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
A hippie full of tables.
It's a hippie full of tables.
Tables. Another one that I think deserves mentioning because it's appeared in a couple of films as inspiration is The Kiss by Gustav Klimt.
I was going to bring that one up too.
Because I think it's a medieval era painting. It's like a man like embracing a woman from behind, and he's wearing like this kind of It's like someone wearing this very like golden kind of garb, and it inspired both.
I mean, the painting isn't from that time period.
Sorry, the painting is not. I'm conflating this with the shot that it.
Can I see it?
Yeah, look it up.
What's it called?
The Kiss by Klimt. Klimt.
Der Kuss.
The Kiss by Klimt. The Klimt Kiss.
What movie are you thinking of?
It's recreated both in Shutter Island.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
There's
what I'm
a shot
thinking of.
DiCaprio holding Carey Mulligan, but it also was an influence
Bram Stoker's
for one of
Dracula.
the outfits in
Yeah,
Bram Stoker's
totally.
Dracula.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. That's right. Actually,
Okay.
you guys don't know
shouts
this,
out.
but I have a piece of artwork up in this room that is literally that artwork, but with Howl's moving character, the two, like Howl as the bird and then Sophie as the female in that version. And it's literally just like a recreation kind of that, but with these different characters. So
Oh, shit.
I love that painting.
I have one.
What do you have, Mick?
You know, I'm not a big fan of Salvador Dali. Hot take.
But you're a
hot
big
take,
fan
I
of
know.
Fury
That is
Road,
a hot
aren't you?
take.
It's the mustache. His art's great, but it's the mustache.
That's an even worse take, honestly.
But he did a painting called The Elephants, which I didn't know this, but when I first saw Mad Max Fury Road in the cinema, I remember this very, very distinct shot of the Green Place, or what formerly was. And you get these
Our
crazy
fucking
guys
Stilt
on
Boys.
stilts. Yeah, the Stilt Boys.
Go
with
back
the
and listen
crows.
to our Mad Max episode.
It's all very blue, and I just remember, and also I think it was mixed, with the fantastical sound design of that shot. Really, really struck me. But I didn't know that was inspired by The Elephant by Salvador Dali, which is a very, very fantastical painting of like a elephant that's fucking 300 feet tall with very spindly legs.
Yeah.
Yar.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but like a lot of like the major like examples of like art, well, other than like, like The Last Supper and, things like that, Goya, but, a lot of Dali references and a lot of Rene Magritte references. And both of them were from like the surrealist, era of painting. And I don't know. I guess it makes a lot of sense because of like, I don't know, the context of surrealism or whatever. One of my friends in high school, her grandma was really, really into Salvador Dali. Like she had like books of his like all over the house. Like in The Truman Show, one of Rene Magritte's paintings, it's architecture Clair de Lune. That it's when he goes up the staircase before he's about to like leave.
Right, with this guy.
Yeah. That one's a really good one. They also have a Magritte type of shot in Moonlight as well. It's La Robe du Soir. But it's like you have the somebody's back in profile, and then the sea kind of behind them, and then like the moonlit night in front of them. Yeah.
The other, honestly, speaking of surrealist artists who painted steps, the other one that I just thought of is the stairs in Inception, which honestly become a plot point. It's that famous optical illusion of like these stairs that seem like they go in a circle.
What's that phenomenon called?
Stop. It's the M.C. Escher Penrose steps.
Yes.
Because M.C. Escher painted all these sort of impossible like architecture paintings, which are incredibly fucking cool.
Yeah.
And neat that Nolan threw that in there. You know what? Inception, pretty fun movie.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Check it
You know
out.
what? I'm brave enough to say it. I think Inception's good.
Kind of on topic, since we last recorded our previous episode, I went to LACMA.
LACMA balls!
And
I got you, you son
did.
of a
You
bitch.
totally
You're
did.
so stupid.
Totally did.
You're
And
dumb.
I saw Picasso and Matisse paintings. And I have to say, I have to say, it's so they had like a whole like you could follow Picasso's career because they had like 20 of his paintings, and I have to say it's fascinating. Where if you go back in time, he becomes a progressively better painter.
Lack balls. You fucking idiot.
I don't like Picasso's new stuff. It also just gets more and more, as my girlfriend pointed out, this is not my take, but she's absolutely right. She's like, you ever just like notice that it just gets way more violent towards women?
Do you just like not like Cubism?
Wasn't he?
I'm not a big fan. I'm more of a traditionalist.
You're such a dork.
I mean, isn't he famously a
So
misogynist?
lame. Fascist
So-
impulse.
Me or Picasso?
Well, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree there. I'm just kidding. No, Picasso, like, isn't he famously, like, pretty much, like, a pretty bad misogynist? I feel like that's something that
he put,
I've
like,
read.
his cigars and cigarettes out onto women's arms.
That's not chill at all.
Yeah, and didn't even
Not
pay
cool.
them for it.
Yeah, not cool.
Not cool.
Not cool at all.
Alexis?
I do have one more that I'm thinking of, and it could be a segue, unless you have a segue.
I love a fucking segue. Oh, hop on that segue.
All right. So in Forrest Gump, there's this shot of Jenny like leaving her house. I think she's finally I think she's finally like leaving her house, like she's gonna like run away or something, and she like collapses in front, and you're fired. So that
Jenny.
God damn it. So, in 1948, a man named Andrew Wyeth had a painting called Christina's World. And it was a painting of his neighbor, Christina. You can't be making fun of people with disability when I'm literally about to talk about a painting that is of a person with a disability. You can't. You just can't. You have to stop.
Forrest Gump
My
didn't
mom
have a
always said my
disability.
life was like a box of chocolates. You didn't know if I had nuts in it.
That's the incredible thing about Forrest Gump. It's why that movie works. They never specify what disability he has. They're just like, he's generally stupid, and now he's going to do something that's like maybe offensive, but you can't pin it
I
down.
may be dumb, but I know what love is.
And I love you, Jenny. Sorry, please continue.
Yes. This man in real life had a neighbor who had like a muscle degenerative disease. So I guess she would crawl around the grounds outside of her house, spending hours adventuring through the land. And so he painted her like in a field. And a lot of people kind of thought of this painting as, I don't know, like kind of like you're watching like this hopeless kind of situation, which is interesting because he didn't really see it that way, because to him it was so impressive that like, you know, she so often got out there to explore around, even when like she really, you know, she has the capability, but with a lot of fucking effort, you know? And so he said that he attempted to do justice to her extraordinary conquest of life, in which most people would consider hopeless. And I think that this is a good segue into our movie, because the movie that we are covering is famously about a subject that would generally make people probably be pretty fucking sad. But you know, I'm not quite sure that I agree necessarily. So we will be segueing into Lars von Trier's 2011 Melancholia, starring Kirsten Dunst, Charlotte Gainsborough, Kiefer Sutherland, and other people. Don't remember their names.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, we got two Skarsgårds
Oh yeah,
in here.
Stellan Skarsgård,
Skarsgård,
Daddy
Papa.
Skarsgård, and we've also got Alexander Skarsgård.
Tell you.
Goddamn right. And Kiefer Sutherland.
That one I said.
All right, I was hard of listening. I apologize. Would you like me to read the description?
Yes,
fuck it is.
cook that description in.
A planet hurtles toward a collision course with Earth. Two sisters, one of them trying to recover from a heavy bout of depression and a failed marriage, cope with their destiny in very different ways. So that's the, second half of the movie.
Yeah.
First half of the movie's the wedding.
It's kind of two movies.
I mean, Alexis, you picked this movie. None of us, I'm just going to put it out here, none of us had seen this movie before it was chosen for the podcast. What did you think?
I quite liked it. And to be honest, I think this, I wouldn't say that I've seen like a bunch of Lars von Trier movies. I think I've only seen Dogville. And, Dogville's one of those like polarizing movies for me where it's like, it's not dog shit, but it's dog shit in my heart. Like on a technical level, the movie is incredible. And like, if you're, like I was studying it for a theory class, it's like, yeah, there's a lot to fucking pick apart in it. But it made me feel gross. I don't fucking like it. And so I had kind of gone out of my way to not see another Lars von Trier movie. But I don't know. I had friends over the years that just loved this movie so much that I just felt like, oh, it technically counts as sci-fi. So you know what? I'm going to go with that.
So this is where I want to bounce off. 'Cause I have to somewhat reluctantly give you some fucking credit here.
Boo.
And say, early in this film, I was like, this is such a fucking sci-fi month sneak. But actually, I think when you look at the aims of science fiction, which are to, examine modern life and the human condition through speculative scientific concepts, I feel like that's the aim of a lot of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Maybe not all sci-fi, but a lot of sci-fi. I think that this pretty much entirely fits that description. Because this is in the same way that like Forbidden Planet really kind of nails the 1950s sort of optimism about humanity's place in the universe and the possibilities of science. Mm-hmm. This movie really drills down on the 21st century and 2010s pessimism of living in worse times than your parents on a dying planet. It's a good sci-fi pick. It does do the shit that the genre should do. It's just not very fun.
Yeah, I'll say my thing with Melancholia is I too thought that we were being swindled of a good sci-fi pick, but I think this is my first Lars von Trier film because I tried watching Nymphomaniac. I turned it off. Wasn't enough sex in it, and I really liked this movie. I thought Melancholia is a very strong film. In fact, I also think that I was perhaps a little, I don't judge a book by its cover, because also for sci-fi, this movie is, I think, solid science fiction. The first half is definitely, again, I say that it's kind of like two movies, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But you start with this first storyline, which is her attempting to get married, and then you jump forward in time a little bit, and then you have the second half of the story, which is way more about this cosmic obliteration that's going to happen with Earth. And all of the stuff with Melancholia, which is not just the name of the film or the name of the condition that Kristen Dunst has, but also the name of this planet that just has kind of appeared from behind the sun that's going to pass Earth by. Really, really tense, really, really terrifying. And as Zach, you just said, this is a bummer of a movie. It's called Melancholia, and it gave me the melancholia.
Yeah, so a little behind the scenes peek. While I was watching this movie, Mick apparently had just finished it.
Yeah.
We did not watch it together. And I got
I think
text.
it was a good choice. This is not a group movie.
No, I think that, yeah, this is a movie to stew in your feelings on. I got a text in the Film Majors group chat from Mick that was just the scene
whole
from
thread.
The Big Lebowski.
So funny.
Yeah.
The scene from The Big Lebowski where Jeffrey the dude,
He's smoking a J.
Lebowski, smoking a J, is just sitting there and just, going, this is a bummer, man. This is a bummer.
Yeah. That's how I felt.
Oh, boy.
But it's good. It's a really good movie. I quite liked this, but fuck me. Not cheerful.
Yeah, it's a difficult movie to say that I liked. Because I did not enjoy watching it.
And later in the group chat, I think the conversation's kind of going there. Alexis was loving the despair that Zach and I were feeling.
Yeah,
and
Alexis,
I think still is.
Much like a Cenobite, feasts on our suffering.
Yes.
Like
and
a Dementor.
I asked you a question that honestly, why are we supporting characters in your villain origin story? So Alexis, in regards to how this movie just absolutely makes you feel like everything is pointless, how did you feel about the tone, the vibe? Like, how was it watching this movie for the first time?
I think because you guys had talked so much about how bummy it was that I just kept waiting for it to be bummy. And
It's bummy immediately.
And what part of it was not bummy to you, my friend?
It's from the opening bits through the gate.
Well, I mean, I guess I just wasn't. I mean, sure. Okay, well, so this is what I'll say about Lars von Trier is that he really understands how to play with film's form and the function of everything. And every shot is so that whole montage at the beginning was so gorgeous, and it kind of
amazing.
Yeah. And the whole reason why our topic was homages to art is because he recreates I think it's an 1851 painting of Ophelia from Hamlet, right? So you have Kirsten Dunst's character in her wedding dress with flowers, and she's in a river, and the painting itself is kind of, it's of Ophelia's despair, descent into despair, in which she ends up.
It's of when Ophelia drowns.
Yes, that's her descent into despair. She puts herself into the river and then she ends up drowning. So I don't know. I didn't really think it was a super bummer. I think the only part that I was generally I don't like that. It was when she when she SA'd that fucking guy, Tim. I was like, that's not cool. Not okay.
Hold on. Was that SA?
Yeah.
I thought Tim said they had good sex.
Yeah, he said that was good sex, and I want to marry you now.
Yeah, he basically said that, but at no point did she ask whether or not that was okay. She just started fucking him, and I was like, I'm not comfortable.
I thought that was just a good romp in the sand trap.
I mean,
We've all been there.
It didn't seem like a good romp in the sand trap.
No, it seemed
I think contextually with how much.
No, it seemed like she was on a descent of self-destruction, and what's something very
That's what made it hot, though.
That's not what makes it hot at all. That's
not what makes it hot.
Really?
No, because she's actually, in a way, probably using sex as like a form of self-harm. You know, I think to me that was like something, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's so bummy, because it's like she's taking all of her frustrations and channeling it into this like sexual release that probably isn't really going to feel good, because like, just in general. Anyways, had a lot of thoughts about that.
Worse.
But
yeah, she's using sex to blow up her life.
Yeah. She, like, honestly, she's so deeply unhappy that she's like, you know, I'm just gonna throw fucking spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks right now. So there's this guy. His name is Slavoj Žižek. He's...
Oh, yeah, you watched the fucking Žižek bit? Let's go, baby! I love Žižek.
Me too. He's one of my favorite...
Žižek.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite current philosophers. He's great.
Let's fucking go!
Hey!
Oh, this is a philosopher.
Yeah, he's a philosopher and a Marxist.
Oh,
and
nice.
we salute him.
Yes. He's one of my favorite. This guy that I've followed since, like, I think the pandemic on TikTok. His name's Julian something, I don't know, but he is like really deep in theory. He did like all of his, like, you know, school whatever, and one of his favorite philosophers is Zizek, so he talks about him a lot. But so then I saw that he had done like a little segment on this, and I was like, oh shit, like I gotta hear what he has to say about this. And what he said is, I think, exactly kind of how I feel about the movie in a way. So he said that the movie is not really pessimistic, that it's actually very optimistic. That this inner peace and how she accepts this, like the world ending, we should not read it as a pessimism that we all die, who cares? No, it's more like having like a fundamental spiritual experience, the acceptance that at any point the end may be near. I don't know. I found something like really fascinating of like how in the entire movie up until the point that like the end is truly becoming near, she's totally useless. Like she's so deep in her depression and everything that, you know, everybody's doing things for her. They're all supporting her. And yet when the destruction is imminent, like it's almost like kind of
liberating in a way.
Yeah, it's almost, in a way. What do you have to say, Zach?
I need to speak of a man who we talked about in our last episode.
Freud?
Who somehow keeps getting away with it.
What happened this time?
And it is Mr. Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
He cannot keep getting away with it. I'm sick of it. Alexis, this episode, you made me read a whole fucking chapter of Freud. That's how I'm upset. I'm fucking upset. That's what I was doing before this episode. Is I was reading Freud.
To be fair, I feel like von Trier movies are movies where, like, if you really are into like theory, like critical, like literary theory, film theory type of shit, like you have so much to deep dive on that you can really like.
Yeah, he can't keep getting away with it
because like because for sure von Trier is like also like that, you know, like he's very into, I don't know, like almost kind of more like a heady shit, you know? Like we had to watch, do you guys remember watching the fucking 4 Obstructions? I both hated and loved it.
The 5 Obstructions, I fucking hate that movie.
Yeah,
he's a deconstructionist for sure.
Yeah, which I mean, like obviously with Dogville having like literally no set except for what's drawn on the ground, like obviously, you know, but so
I still haven't seen Dogville.
Me neither.
I have seen Antichrist, which fucking rocks.
I want to see that.
I loved Antichrist.
Also, I take it back. I also saw the house that Jack built. Saw most of it.
Yeah, no.
So Freud literally has a chapter called Mourning and Melancholia, Because, yes, melancholia was the old-timey name for depression. And
when he says mourning, like mourning a loss of a loved one.
So this is how he distinguishes these two things, because he talks about how mourning and melancholia have very similar sort of symptoms.
Right.
But he says, in mourning, it is the world which has become poor and empty. In melancholia, it is the ego itself.
Right.
And that's why I think that the notion that this movie, in mourning, it is the world which has become poor and empty. In melancholia, it is the ego itself. So it's essentially,
which I think feels about right.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff in those fucking chapters where I'm like, Freud, you're fucking psycho. It all comes back to butt stuff.
Mick, take notes.
No.
Don't say a goddamn thing about strudel.
Come to me to laboratory. I shall give you strudel.
There it is. But I think that's kind of why I push back a little bit. I think that the notion that this is a movie about, like, acceptance of the, like, passing nature of existence, I think that that's interesting, but I don't connect as much to that, because to me, this is a movie where the feelings of depression are externalized, and the reason that Kirsten Dunst is the person who is kind of most active and most equipped to deal with the situation that's happening in the second half of this movie,
right,
is because the feelings that she is having internally, the external circumstances now match.
They mirror
her depression.
It's equalized.
And it's, you
totally.
know, this movie is listed as, on Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, it's listed as part of von Trier's Depression trilogy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is...
That's such a Lars von Trier thing.
The two Nymphomaniac movies and House That Jack Built. It is a very von Trier thing to have.
Let me speak to my own personal experience, which very much is in line with what you were both saying. So, this movie is happening, and it is bumming me out. But I'm enjoying the dynamics of the family in the first half. Then we get to the second half, where it really starts to become cosmic darkness in the most cataclysmic of ways. Literally, a planet is about to crash into us. Everything is going to just not exist anymore. And I kept, with how it was unfolding and how beautiful it was, I kind of identified with Kiefer Sutherland in a bit of just being so excited about this astrological event. I would be doing the same thing. I'd be looking through a telescope. But then it gets to be so terrifying. But here's the thing. As the movie's getting closer to its ultimate conclusion, which we see play out in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
I kept telling myself, honestly, it was a conscious talk I had with myself watching the film going, Mick, you know how this ends. It's all death. There is no way this ends without complete, utter destruction of everything and everyone that exists.
Yeah.
So
Lars von Trier's not letting you off the hook.
But the thing was, I then reframed it in my mind where I started thinking like Kirsten to just kind of survive the viewing of the film. And I ended up really seeing more beauty in it because I myself as a viewer was having to just kind of let go and not look at this as being just so fucking pessimistic because I know it's all going to end terribly. And it really changed my viewing of the movie.
Wait, okay. So Alexis, who did you identify with at the end of the movie? Because I saw you shaking your head there.
I fucking hate Kiefer Sutherland. I hate him.
Yeah, he fucking sucks.
No, yeah, he ends up being a real prick at the end where he just goes out the easy route.
So much. Yeah, I didn't take a lot of notes because I was just trying to pay attention to the movie, but when he says you have to account for a margin of error, right? And explaining to his wife, like, I didn't want to worry you about this being really bad, but, you know, like, to be honest, like, you do have to account for a margin of error, you know? But when the whole time he had been, like, reassuring her, like, no, the scientist said this, so don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. And so I wrote down his little, you have to account for a margin of error. And then my line next to it is, so you lied to her. I was like, so you lied.
He is a rat bastard. I just
and then
like
he fucking
his level of excitement. Yeah, I know that was some chicken shit. But I liked his enthusiasm for the astrological event. So I'm there with him.
It's interesting for me to hear that you, in like the sort of third act of the movie, were starting to connect with Justine's perspective.
Just out of my own self-preservation.
For me, I felt such a... And I guess, okay, a few things about this movie. Mm-hmm. One, I think this movie is a great depiction of how fucking annoying it is to everyone else to be depressed.
Yeah. Yep.
Spoken as someone who has never been depressed and has always been doing normal and good.
Yes, you are, dude. Keep chugging along.
Always doing good, have never been depressed one time.
Yeah, have never felt like a burden to people at all. Never.
No one has ever said, Zach, you seem like you're just hanging on by a thread. I'm always doing good.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
But and at no point have I paid for BetterHelp, and it hasn't worked out. But I think that I really connected with Claire at the end of this movie, because I really...
The sister.
Yes. As played by Charlotte Gainsbourg. I was just like... I was so frustrated with both Justine and John, Kiefer Sutherland's character.
Yeah.
Because Claire, like, in the face of cosmic annihilation, is doing her best to make everything okay.
Right.
For everyone else. And, like, yeah, it's futile.
Yeah.
But, like...
Everything is.
Yeah, if it's... I think that, like, I don't know, maybe this is my own personal ethical philosophy as the resident ethics minor at this table.
Hardly know her.
Nice. Like, if we're all gonna be annihilated by this fucking planetoid, then why not get together on the fucking balcony and enjoy a glass of wine together? Like, why are you being fucking shitty, Justine?
Well, frankly, I think that's
like,
dog shit.
Why are you going, oh yeah, that idea? It's dog shit. What are you doing? Sitting in a field? How is this better? Fuck off,
I
Justine.
loved that. I loved that section. I was like, yeah, you go, Justine. You enjoy this moonlight.
I think it was phenomenal writing, but it fucking pissed me off.
Yeah, no, it was weird because when the planet is really getting close and they have this, I love this visual gag, not a visual gag, just like this prop that they have that the kid made, where it's a stick, you hold it to your chest, and at the end of the stick, there's this little metal loop that you adjust the size of the loop to the exact size of the planet up in the sky, and then you can determine if you keep looking up at it as time has gone on, if it's moving away from you or if it's getting closer, because it will either get smaller or bigger than the ring you made. And it totally fucking unsettling.
Yeah.
As it gets bigger and bigger, and you just feel yourself getting smaller and smaller. But at that point in the film, Claire is freaking out. She's running around. She's like, I gotta take the kid someplace. And I was getting kind of frustrated with her. I'm like, hey, relax. It's all over. Sit in a field and enjoy the hail. But, I mean, to be fair, it's easy for me to say that. If I was actually in that situation, who knows what the fuck I would do.
And you don't have a kid.
And I don't have a kid. Well,
that you know of.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you know, I think they from everything that I've read, if Justine is representative of depression, then Claire is representative of anxiety. So all of that makes sense. But I mean, to be honest, I also hated Claire. I think everything that I think it's just that everything that she's worried about is everything that feels futile and insignificant about just life itself, you know, like caring about like what people think, caring about putting other people's needs and wants like so far ahead of your own, like constantly. Just like her whole character is just a constant abandonment of self in order to either caretake for others. And so I didn't, it's not that I don't know if it's not that I hated her as a character, but just like, I think I hate what it is that she embodies, like, and what it represents in the world. That's why, you know, when Justine says like, oh, that's dog shit, I think it's just that like so much of the niceties of what Claire is clinging onto, that's what feels futile, you know? I think that like with depression, time moves so slowly that's the worst thing about it, is that the idea that you just have to keep going on, and maybe things will never get better. Maybe they will, but maybe they never will. And I just have to live like this until maybe I die. But then the idea that like, oh shit, we're all going to die like right now. Like there's something like very freeing in that. And I can see why, you know, Justine got like all of this energy like towards the end in that way, because it's like, if the world isn't ending, my struggle makes no sense, you know, because with depression, it's like it almost feels internally like the world should be ending because you don't really want it to go on, you know?
Yeah, it's the mourning, the pour and emptiness is within the ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't keep getting away with it.
To be fair, though, to Zach's point, like, I see both sides, but, like, when you were like, look, let's just, like, gather around a candle, let's drink some wine with my sister.
Like,
and
how the
she's
fuck is it different than what she did?
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a good time to just yuck someone's yum. I
But
think,
also,
like, let's just all support one another.
We don't need to dig in to how I'm relating more to the character who's representative of anxiety right now. No one needs to talk to my therapist. Fuck you.
No one needs to point out that I felt perfectly fine watching this movie. And in fact, after I finished it, I sent you guys a message that was a Bane reference.
To the Joker, Melancholia is a comedy.
That's right.
Did you ever think about that?
Yeah.
You ever think about how the Joker would think this is a comedy?
I was thinking of that the whole time. I was like, God, what would Todd Phillips' version of this look like?
I'm glad you have Todd Phillips' Joker front of mind, as we all do.
Also, I love the use of the Wagner's, even though fuck Wagner, because he was, I believe, super anti-Semitic. Fuck Wagner. But the prelude to Tristan and Isolde, fucking banger. I was literally listening to that like all day
song
yesterday. So fucking good.
Great music.
There's something that Tarkovsky, who I think von Trier is like a big fan of, says about like using a refrain in music, using music as a refrain. He says the refrain brings us back to our first experience of entering that poetic world, making it immediate and at the same time renewing it. And so I think that if you like go back and you rewatch Melancholia every time that music comes in, because that's the music that's playing when you see that first montage at the beginning.
Those beautiful images.
Yeah. And so then you hear it come in like every once in a while throughout the movie. And I love that idea that it kind of renews your entrance into that poetic world of the film, you know?
And it reminds me of the conclusion where this is all heading. It keeps grounding me as a viewer of I keep getting caught up in this story, and I need not do that because this music is reminding me how this all ends. Zach, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've brought up the fuck Wagner thing because Wagner was big with the Nazis. And unfortunately, we have to mention... I personally think that this should have been a movie where, and granted, it's a little bit out there, but I feel like Kirsten Dunst should have, at the very least, been nominated for an Oscar. If not, she should have won an Oscar.
I'm surprised she wasn't nominated.
Maybe she was nominated, but I know she didn't win because she's never won an Oscar.
Boo.
And I feel like maybe part of that involved the fact that she was sitting next to Lars von Trier at a panel at Cannes where he said these things. I thought I was a Jew for a long time and was very happy being a Jew. Then it turned out I was not a Jew. I found out that I was really a Nazi, which also gave me some pleasure. What can I say? I understand Hitler. He did some wrong things, absolutely, but I can see him sitting there in his bunker at the end. I sympathize with him, yes, a little bit.
Boy, you ever just fucking step in it?
Wow.
The man likes
he stepped into a gopher hole.
Now, if you would like to see the face that Kirsten Dunst is making in the very first shot of this movie in another context,
it's the same
watch
expression.
the Cannes panel for Melancholia.
That's what's so funny is legit. I saw that clip first before I watched the movie, and then as soon as I see Kirsten Dunst just look so fucking dead inside, I was like, I recognize that face.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's when she was at the Cannes panel.
Yeah, I believe the context for that is that Lars von Trier thought that one of his ancestors was Jewish, and then found out that he was German.
Oh, he was Gestapo.
World War. Yeah.
Interesting.
So the thing that I have generally heard about that is that's
classic switcheroo.
That's him making a joke in bad taste as opposed to him.
He's Dutch,
genuine,
right?
Yes, he's Dutch.
That's a very Dutch style of humor. I liked the Nazis.
Yeah, it's really funny, man. It's
To
really
be honest,
funny.
when I heard you say that, I was like, it just sounds like he was. No.
Alexis is like, it sounds like a bit.
Are you about to step in it? Are you about to
She almost stepped in it. She almost stepped in
Are
it.
you going to finish that thought or not?
She's like, look what I almost stepped in.
I have nothing to say on behalf of any white man. I'm gonna let him sizzle in the sun all on his own.
That seems like a good choice.
That's the correct way to do it.
Yeah. It's, I think this is a good movie. But
yeah.
I feel like you kind of can't talk about it without talking about how he became persona non grata at Cannes. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
feel
my
like
thing
that's
about
also,
Lars von Trier.
It's also really hard because you're like, oh, you made a Nazi comment, but then you also chose this Wagner song, and it's like, Wagner's super anti-Semitic. It's like, is this? There's like a theme here, maybe.
When did Wagner compose?
Before Hitler was a thing.
So his music was just huge with the Nazis.
But he was also an anti-Semite.
You know what the Nazis hated?
What?
Jazz.
Yeah.
I found that
That's
out.
not surprising.
Like it was banned. It was outlawed.
You don't say.
Is that radical?
That's shocking.
They were like secret jazz clubs. Because it was all secret.
You're not surprising me at all. I think my thing about Lars von Trier that I find kind of fucking obnoxious about him is that he's such a fucking edgelord. Yeah. Like, he's such oh, am I provoking you? Am I provoking you? It's like, how about you be fucking annoying, Lars? Yeah, how about you quit being such a fucking dork?
He's that weird little Dutch kid.
You're such a fucking Redditor.
He's that weird little Dutch kid that would stand outside your room and have his foot in your room going, I'm not in your room. I'm not in your room. I'm like, get out of my room. Get out of my room.
Did that
This is the same man who gave us...
Dutch kid that was just like running around.
This is the same man who gave us the 4 obstructions. So at what fucking point did you think he wasn't going to be fucking annoying?
No, I mean that is the pinnacle of Lars von Trier being annoying, quite frankly.
He has a lot of good points. Like, okay, I have to say that I fucking hate the 4 obstructions.
Which ones?
Yeah,
But every time I think about film and I think about like, well, actually it does make a lot of sense. If you give yourself a struggle, then you can overcome it in a more interesting way. You know, like you when you have less things to work, you know, sometimes you give people a bunch of money. It doesn't mean they're going to make a good fucking movie, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just that you just have to work with what you have, you know? So I thought I always think about the four obstructions, but just in the way of like, sometimes you don't have these things and you have to be more creative. And that's basically what the four obstructions really breeds creativity.
Limitation breeds creativity.
Yes.
And we thank Michelle for that, not necessarily Lars von Trier.
And you know what? I'll throw some fucking credit on that lesson to M. Night Shyamalan, who...
he knows a lot about struggle.
Expressed how he did not feel like he was at his creative best until he had to mortgage his house to make a movie. He felt like he needed something on the line. And then he's, you know, entered into a good period of his career, in my opinion.
Nice. I'm going to invoke something else controversial, because why not throw it on the pile?
Yeah, it's a Von Trier episode. Why not?
So something I really like the second half. I think I might like the second half more just because of the cosmic shit. But the first half, which again, almost like a different movie, is Kirsten Dunst's wedding.
Yeah.
There's this whole, and it plays out almost in real time, where she's engaged to Alexander Skarsgård, who is head over heels. He's trying everything he can to make the night work. Her family's trying everything they can to make the night work. And just
except for her fucking mom.
Except for the mom, who's a real bummer, man. As the movie goes on, the wedding goes on, Kirsten Justice keeps falling into this pit of despair, and it's getting worse and worse. And to invoke something controversial, what this reminded me of quite a bit, and I do mean this as a compliment, is Woody Allen films. So Woody Allen has his dramas.
Your favorite guy. Your favorite guy who you love.
No.
You said you don't like
No. You meant Roman Polanski, Mick's other favorite guy.
Who? Tom Clancy?
Roman Polanski.
Oh, Roman Polanski.
Oh, that is Mick's other favorite guy.
That is my other favorite guy. If you have seen the movie Interiors or Hannah and Her Sisters, which are very, very good dramas by Woody Allen, he has this sort of very hyper-real, completely awkward interactions of characters that just feel like shit that you've witnessed before. At least that's how I feel with like certain like family members or certain family dynamics, where it's just, this is really deeply uncomfortable. There's a lot of passive aggression happening here, and just watching familial relationships implode in real time that feels like you're witnessing something where I just don't want to be a part of this anymore. That very much invoked Woody Allen's pictures like that. The wedding was an absolute fucking train wreck in real time and was fascinating to watch. There were some funny bits, like Udo Klein, is it?
Udo Kier.
Udo Kier, his character, he's really funny. There are some funny bits in it, but overall, it was just this terrible time. It was just so fucking miserable. But I'm glad it's there, because it doesn't have a lot to do with the planet coming in. I mean, they hint at it a little bit when she looks up and says, "Oh, what star is that?" So there's a little bit happening there. But overall, I'm glad it's there, because it gets you in this mood. It gets you in this mood of just funk. And this just sucks. And then the second half happens, and you're already kind of there with it. It
plays with time in a really interesting way, because you feel like this night is just going on forever, because somehow they are 2 hours late to their own reception, and yet they still have time for a dance. There's time for her to take a nap. There's time for her to take a bath. There's time for her to escape to the golf course. And yet this night, you know, and she still is coming back and forth and interacting with people. And I don't know, it doesn't feel like it should work. It doesn't feel like it's in real time. It feels like it's in out of time. I don't know how to phrase that exactly, but it doesn't feel like it's in real time, because it doesn't feel like it makes sense necessarily, that there should be enough time for all of these starting and stopping and starting and stopping of Justine and the party. I found it like a very interesting part of that section.
Yeah, it's the depression thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like the beginning of the movie is important so that you see the contrast of when the, you know, planet's about to collide with Earth.
Yeah.
Because you get to see, how Justine experiences normal life, which, is this, like, weird, arduous fucking
Slog.
hellscape.
Yeah.
Slog. And, like, one night feels like it takes forever. And then you get to the second half, and days are going by very quickly.
It reinforced why I hate weddings.
See,
Oh my God.
I thought this seemed like kind of, you know, I feel like she planned the wedding well. I thought there were a lot of
terrible.
cute things.
Terrible.
I like a wedding. I've been to several weddings that have been a fucking great time over the past few
Weddings
years.
can be fun, but holy shit, man, when it feels forced, this everything was terrible. All right, everybody, we're moving to this room now to cut the cake, and she doesn't want to eat it, and just everything. I was like, I want to fucking leave.
The hot air balloon.
Let's go to the bar.
The hot air balloon was a good idea.
It was cute.
I thought that was sweet. I thought that was sweet. I liked it.
But you're gonna make me walk how many fucking holes over this fucking golf course? This 18-hole golf course. Who gives a fuck?
I hate her.
Give me a drink.
I hate
Jesus.
her whole family except for the little boy. Little boy's cool. He has no hate. There's no hate in my heart for the little boy.
The little boy's chill. Her mom.
Oh my God, her mom.
Her mom is played by Charlotte Rampling.
Too bad we hadn't seen this movie when we did the worst cinema mothers, because this lady would have been at the top of the fucking list. She's
Holy
awful,
shit.
man.
The toast scene.
Oh man,
terrible.
She's John Hurt is delivering
To be fair, he teed her up. Like, John Hurt's also doing a piece of shit.
But then she goes, domineering, what a load of crap, she said domineeringly before fucking just launching into the worst wedding speech of all time.
To prove my point. But also, I should have just kept it about my fucking daughter on a wedding. Fuck all of them.
She also plays the Reverend
terrible.
Mother Gaius Helen Maheim in Dune and Dune Part 2.
She does.
Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2.
And, personally, if I had been at that wedding, I would have fucking hit her with the Paul Atreides silence! Because she was being a fucking pain in the ass.
She was awful. She was awful.
Bad.
Yeah. I mean, in general, like, her whole family is awful. I know that it's, like, kind of probably supposed to, like, represent just, like, all of the expectation and, like, this is what I was talking about, like, with Claire, like, everything being so not inevitable. What was the word? That futile. Everything's just so futile, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, Justine is supposed to experience her wedding. Obviously, you can see her going into this, like, depressive kind of, like, episode, and yet nobody really wants to let her just live in that. Like, pretty much the through line is you just need to smile and do this because we paid a lot of money for you to enjoy this. So you just need to pretend for us because we want to have a good time. So you need to pretend for us, which is kind of the conundrum of depression and the inevitability of feeling more like a burden on people because you can't enjoy things, and it becomes such a
then you feel guilty.
Enjoying life becomes an obligation and therefore pushes you, I feel, further into feeling like depressed because it's like living has now become an obligation for other people, not even for you to enjoy, but for other people to enjoy life. I have to pretend my life away, you know?
Yeah. No, it's terrible because, like, everyone wants a fucking piece of her at this wedding. And on top of that, not feeling like she has to, not being able to be the human being that everyone is demanding of her to be tonight because of societal norms, she starts to feel like even more of a piece of shit, as you said. Like, I would start feeling guilty. I feel like, great, not only can I not just feel miserable, I have to feel like that I'm betraying the family and all of my family members simply by,
being myself,
being depressed. And that shit sucks. And also in terms of all of the things that are expected of her, another great scene is when her fiance, Alexander Skarsgård, takes her to the bedroom because it is expected that on a wedding, the bride and the groom consummate. And when you see all of this, getting to this point of how fucking dead inside she is, and you get to the scene where she's beautiful, he's beautiful, and he wants to make love to his wife, and she so clearly is not there for it, and it's fucking heartbreaking for both of them because this is just something that is expected of a wedding. And then she goes, can you give me a moment? Can you give me a moment? His pants are off, so he's just in his boxers. He still has a shirt on. She then just walks out. I just need a moment. And he just sits there in his boxers and just sits in what just happened. How I think that was like the final nail. Like, he doesn't feel necessarily betrayed by her. It's just he almost feels betrayed by his own expectations, because he even says it later on that I don't know what I expected. I tried. And she tried too.
I think it's not maybe that I hate her whole family, but I hate the upholders of societal expectation and etiquette. Like, who decided that you have to fuck on your wedding night? Obviously, that's ideal, right? But like, if you saw that your partner like wasn't into it, like, if you really love somebody, like, wouldn't you be more concerned with like what's going on with them, like, wouldn't you be more attuned to their mood or to their body language, or to literally, she says like multiple times, like, hey, can we just talk for a second? Can you give me a minute? Like, and he's letting his excitement for the moment like kind of overshadow that this is like a two-way street, So I don't know. I feel like I kind of watched this movie through a haze in some ways. Like, it was almost like I didn't feel it all when I was watching it. Like, I feel like I wasn't bummed because I felt like almost disconnected from myself as I watched it. I think almost because like I like that scene where she is in the bath and she's just kind of like staring off. I'm like, I feel like I've been there before. So I feel like there was like almost like a disconnect like in my mind of like watching this character that I kept seeing things that I'm like, like that I could like empathize with. And the more that I think that I empathized with her character, the more almost disconnected I think I felt emotionally from the film in a way, almost like watching it through a glaze in some way. Which I think is probably there's probably just like triggers and shit in the movie that were making me just feel a little like glazy about it. But
well, I was going to ask as a follow-up to that, what I said about how I had to just, in the second half, I had to change my mindset, almost in a way of self-preservation as a viewer, just to not let this affect me so much where I'm actually going to be bummed out after seeing it. Would you say, Alexis, that
you had to get depressed not to feel depressed?
In a way. I had to accept the inevitability of it. But Alexis, do you think that was like a self-preservation for you, or just like how the movie made you feel? It just made you feel numb, or that was like your body went numb in order to then continue along with the movie?
No, I mean, like, I wasn't bothered by the idea that everybody was going to die, but I think that that's probably the conceit of why I enjoyed Justine so much, is because, to me, I mean, like, obviously, like, Charlotte is like, there is like this one part of the movie where she's talking about how like the planet's gonna like die, and then she says, but where is like, where's my son going to grow up? And it's like, obviously he's not going to grow up anywhere because he's just going to be fucking dead. I don't know. I think it probably has something to do with like how I grew up, and like how my mom has always just kind of said like, well, when I'm dead and gone, what am I going to care? Because I'll just be dead. And so I've just always kind of been the same way about death and dying. It's like, well, what does it really matter when the end comes? Because when the end happens, I'm not going to feel anything after that. So what's the point of getting so scared? What's the point of getting so scared and like anxious about it when it's inevitable? And what I need to do is just enjoy where I am right now, because death could be around the corner or death could be down the street. You never really know, to be honest. And so all that you really have is moment to moment, which is why I really enjoyed that scene where you see like Claire, like, so like, just like, what the fuck is Justine doing? Where is she going? And then you just see Justine just like basking in the moonlight of Melancholia. And I don't know, metaphorically, that scene just had so much going on with it. I really loved it. I was like saying,
it's like that old story of the guy that's about to be executed that's completely calm, and the guardsman goes, why aren't you freaking out? You're about to be killed. And he goes, freaking out, would that help?
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, honestly, so funny story, back when I was really dealing with depression myself, I may have taken some shrooms, and I had an epiphany. And this kind of is in line of what we're talking about. And sometimes when I'm feeling sad, I come back to this thought that I had, which it was late at night. I could hear the ocean from my window, and I heard the waves crashing because I live near the beach. And I had this thought of, you know what? Whatever happens with me, with society, with humans in general, doesn't matter, because the earth will continue. It will heal. It will go on. So take solace in that we actually aren't that consequential. And weirdly, and I've told that to some people and it bummed them out, but to me, I find that kind of liberating, of knowing that my main concern, sometimes it feels like, is just the planet. And I take solace knowing that eventually it will always go on. We're fucked. Well, the planet will be fine. Now, in regards to this movie, doesn't apply quite as much, because the planet is fucked.
I don't really agree with that philosophy. Yeah. Because if you look at that on a greater macro scale,
right,
like, you know, the planet won't be fine. The planet will end someday.
Well, I mean, it got hit by an asteroid when the dinosaurs went out, but it just changed.
But eventually the Earth will, the sun will die, the Earth will be consumed by the sun.
Yeah, it goes on.
It will not exist anymore. It will not go on. All of human history and all of the history of life on Earth will no longer exist. As Kirsten Dunst says in this movie, life only exists on Earth and not for long.
But that's okay.
But I think that actually flips back. I think that flips back around to making existence right now and people
absolutely
the only thing that matters.
But see, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. You make what you have worth it. But in the end, like when I feel bad, that's all I'm saying, is it's like everything beautiful to me, which is nature and the universe and everything, that will continue.
Yeah, I guess for me it's, you know, maybe similar thoughts but different conclusion.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, for sure. But anyways, yeah, that's just it brought that to mind for me, of just like kind of how you view the ultimate demise.
Yeah, I think I love this movie. I think because it just, you can learn a lot about like other people just in how this movie affects them, or in how they kind of, you know, like you guys were saying earlier, like which characters did they connect with or disagree with, you know, and why did they disagree with them or find connections with them? This is, like you were saying earlier, with the science fiction, that, you know, it allows you to like kind of delve into, like, you know, the concept of existence and humanity and what it means to be human, and everything. And I think this movie just kind of perfectly is that. And that's why it's like we can literally just have a whole conversation about, like, what are your feelings on death and destruction of the planet, you know, and everybody can kind of have like their own little spiel on it. These are the type of conversations that I really, really enjoy. Like, I could be like super fucking baked and just be like talking about this for like probably like an hour.
Hey man, what if the world like wasn't even here anymore, man? It's an incredibly philosophically rich movie.
Yeah.
And you know, Alexis, I'm gonna give you credit for thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, well done.
Like
Good pick.
I don't know another month where we would have arrived at a Von Trier. Maybe at some point I would have done Antichrist during horror month, because I do like that movie.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is what this show is all about. Fucking talking about interesting filmmakers doing cool stuff with genre. And, you know,
Yeah.
despite his, you know, comments at certain points, I think... Yeah, Lars von Trier is someone who is important to discuss and study if you're interested in filmmaking and cinema.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, this was the first time I've seen his movie in its entirety, and this will be my closing thoughts here. But I have to say, Alexis, again, hats off to you. I think out of all of the movies I've seen for the first time for this show, Melancholia is probably up there.
One of them.
It's in the top 5 for me. I mean, I really, really dug this film. And it is a fucking bummer, but it was so affecting. I just love being deeply affected by a movie. If it doesn't have to make me feel happy, it doesn't have to make me feel good. If it just makes me feel, and this movie really did make me feel, I give it all the compliments. It's a very, very good film. It's very, very beautiful. Yeah. I liked it. Really good.
Yeah. This movie kind of reminds me of my choice, Drive My Car last year, where it's like, this is like a movie where it's like, oh, it just makes me want to learn to kind of think more and more about the characters' motivations. One of my closing thoughts is this quote. It's the kid when at some point he says, it's a planet that's been hiding behind the sun and now it passes by us. And so of course he's talking about Melancholia. But I thought, like, what a wonderful line to be like literal, in that the kid is explaining the phenomenon that's supposed to happen of this planet Melancholia, but also explaining the metaphorical conundrum, or like, of depression, of melancholia, of saying like, oh, it's something that hides behind all the light in your life and it will pass you by, but then it doesn't. It just comes back around and hits you head on. I love that. I love that that's the mental image that we get, that's literal, in that this planet is going to bump into the fucking earth and destroy it, but that it actually is Justine's Melancholia. It's not something that is just hiding behind the sun and it's going to go around her. It's going to circle back and it's going to hit her right in the face, you know, every time. So love that.
Good read.
Nice.
Good read.
Well, I feel like that's as good a place to wrap it up as any.
Woo!
Whoa.
Notice how I'm like,
Woof.
I feel like I'm really good at wrapping up all of our sad episodes.
This is your, ironically, this is your happy place.
Yeah, this is your zone.
It's so funny.
This is it.
Yeah, you know.
This is your path of totality.
It is. growing up, didn't have a very easy time expressing my emotions. So I often would watch really sad movies in order to experience all the icky feelings that I was feeling internally and to externalize them. And so I think that movies that other people find very sad oftentimes just make me feel very contemplative instead. You know, they just...
You're twisted. You're like the Joker in that way.
This is her going
Dude, we should post the like screenshots from our conversation about this movie, because that shit had me
totally
dying.
It would, wouldn't it? It would have you dying with laughter.
Had us dying.
Yeah, we were dying and she was dying of laughter.
All right. Well, I think that for the next one, I have acquiesced to Mick.
He acquiesced.
I think that he can tell us where we're going from here.
Yes. So we are moving on from this planetary system, and we're going to a different one. Maybe. Might be the same one. I think
Different
it is the same one. Is it different?
At least for a little bit.
Well, at least we're going back in time. We are going to 1997's The Fifth Element, directed by Luc Besson.
A guy who's had no
I
controversies.
was just going to say another controversial character. Wow, we sure can't pick him. This is a classic sci-fi from the late 90s, as I said. It stars Bruce Willis. It stars Gary Oldman and Mila Jovovich. How do you say that?
Mila Jovovich.
Jovovich, yeah. She's great. I've seen this movie a few times, but I'm not like super into it, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I really want to check this movie out because next episode, my lovely partner in crime, Samantha Tansey, is going to be finally joining us on this show, and this is one of her all-time favorite movies.
And no one will say anything about the Britain of it all.
Oh, she's ready.
No one's going to say a thing.
She's totally ready.
Everybody loves Britain.
Yep.
Everybody loves The Crown, and we've always said that. Nick, where can you find this movie?
You can find it on Tubi. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp, Tubi, and Jiffy Lube.
Don't say it's brought to us by Tubi. You can find it wherever you find it. You can rent it on wherever you rent movies. Tubi, you know where to find us. The ball is in your court.
Get BetterHelp and lube that Tubi.
LOL.
All right. Well, if you want to find us, The Film Majors, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. You can find us on YouTube at The Film Majors Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, that's about it. Email us, filmmajorspod@gmail.com. We've gotten some good emails recently. So, you know, email us something fun. Someone might be emailing us something angry. All right. And, you know, have a good summer.